All right, let's jump right into this. I want you to meet Sam. Sam's a supervisor at a brokerage firm, and if there's one thing Sam loves more than absolutely anything else in this world, it's a good night's sleep. But sadly, Sam rarely gets one. Why? Well, because he's kept awake by the crushing, ever-present weight of Series 7 compliance rules. You see, supervision doesn't just magically stop once a customer account is opened. Oh no, it is an ongoing, daily grind of inspections, monitoring, and reviews. So today, we're going to walk through a day in the life of Sam the Supervisor. Because by understanding his daily headaches, you're going to seamlessly lock in some of the most heavily tested compliance concepts on your exam.
But hey, before Sam grabs his morning coffee, this explainer is brought to you by SurfFuel. Look, we all know studying for the Series 7 can be a total nightmare, but SurfFuel honestly makes it painless. They've got a full Series 7 course packed with adaptive study quizzes, smart flashcards that actually learn what you're struggling with, and unlimited practice exams that are weighted exactly like the real thing. It's totally built for focus and retention. So when we're done here, definitely check them out at surffuel.com. It'll save Sam's sanity, and it's for sure going to save yours.
Okay, here is our game plan for today. First, checking on the office. Second, spying on trades. Third, vetting the new hires. Fourth, the big annual review. And finally, a rapid-fire recap. Let's get to it.
Section 1. Checking on the office.
So a brokerage firm isn't just one big room, right? It's scattered across all these different branches. Sam's very first task of the day is hitting the road to inspect these offices, just to ensure Carla the customer's hard-earned funds are completely safe. And you have to look at how incredibly strict the schedule is here. Firms must conduct internal inspections on very specific, highly testable timelines. If an office is an Office of Supervisory Jurisdiction, and definitely spell that out in your notes, Office of Supervisory Jurisdiction, or OSJ, or if it's a supervisory branch office, Sam has to inspect it at least annually. If it's a non-supervisory branch office, well, the rule relaxes just a bit, at least every 3 years. And for a non-branch location, just on a regular, periodic schedule. Now, when Sam gets there, he isn't just waving hello. He has to actually check the safeguarding of Carla the customer's funds, dig through all the books and records, check on the supervisory personnel themselves, and verify any customer account information changes. It's a lot.
I really want you to sear this giant number 1 into your memory. 1. When it comes to an Office of Supervisory Jurisdiction or a supervisory branch office, Sam absolutely must pack up his clipboard and conduct an inspection at least 1 time a year, annually. Literally no exceptions.
Now contrast that with this massive 3. If it is merely a non-supervisory branch office, it only drags poor Sam out of bed every 3 years. Listen, the test makers absolutely love to see if you're going to mix these two timelines up. Remember, OSJ is 1. Non-supervisory branch is 3. All right, I want to break the fourth wall here for a second. Pause the explainer right now. Ask yourself, when Sam's firm actually inspects a branch, who exactly conducts that inspection? Like, can Sam just inspect his own messy desk, give himself a gold star, and call it a day? Think about it for a beat. Boom! Major exam trap right here. The person conducting the inspection generally must be an independent person. Sam cannot just inspect his own mess or a location that he directly profits from. That's a huge conflict of interest. And once that independent person finishes up their inspection, they have to reduce the whole thing to a written report. How long do they have to hoard that report in their files? 3 whole years. Now, the only exception is a non-branch location on a cycle that's longer than 3 years. They keep it until the next report is written. But for exam day, permanently link these two ideas. Independent person, 3-year record retention.
Section 2. Spying on insider trades.
Next up, Sam puts away his clipboard and throws on his detective hat to proactively monitor accounts for insider trading. So whose accounts is Detective Sam actually stalking? Well, it's not just the firm's proprietary money. Member firms have to review securities transactions in 4 specific categories. Member firm accounts. Accounts where associated persons have a beneficial interest. Associated person accounts disclosed under the outside account disclosure rule. And finally, covered accounts. Essentially, Sam has to keep a really close eye on the personal trades of associated persons, like our favorite broker, Riley the Rep.
And this next part brilliantly illustrates why compliance is just so incredibly sweeping. What exactly is a covered account? Well, the rules say transaction monitoring actually extends to an associated person's family members and related accounts. So it includes Riley the Rep's spouse, it includes any child who resides in the exact same household or is financially dependent on Riley. Let me give you a totally absurd but highly accurate visual. Does Riley the rep's unemployed, 30-year-old son who just plays video games in Riley's basement all day count as a covered account? Spoiler alert, he absolutely does. Sam has to monitor the basement son's trades too, plus any other account that Riley controls.
Okay, watch out for this exam trap. Let's say Detective Sam is combing through the trade logs, and he notices Riley's basement son just made a massive, highly suspicious options trade right before some huge company news broke. Can Sam just shrug and say, kids these days, no way? If a review identifies a trade that may violate insider trading or manipulation rules, the firm must promptly open an internal investigation. Promptly! Do not choose the multiple-choice answer that says wait for the SEC or ask the rep politely about it. You investigate promptly.
Section 3. Vetting the new hires.
Let's actually shift the story back in time just a bit. Before Sam could even hire Riley the rep in the first place, he had to dive super deep into Riley's background, his character, and his qualifications. And this brings us to two forms you absolutely must not confuse on test day. Let's compare them side by side because it's a classic mix-up. Form U4 is the Uniform Application for Securities Industry Registration. It is the application. It contains the applicant's background and disclosure information. Think of it as the "Hello, please let me work here" form. Form U5, on the other hand, is the Uniform Termination Notice. It shows exactly why the applicant left their previous firm and lists any disclosed regulatory events. It's the "Goodbye, and here's exactly why you're leaving" form. U4 is coming in, U5 is going out. Here is another crucial number you need to lock in: 60. When Sam is looking to hire Riley, and Riley was previously registered at some other firm, Sam has exactly 60 days to review Riley's most recent Form U5. Sam needs to read that U5 within 60 days to find out what terrible thing Riley might have done to get fired from his last job.
Now, I want you to contrast that with a giant 30. When Riley submits his shiny new 4U4 application, Sam only has 30 calendar days to verify the accuracy of that initial or transfer Form U4. And how does he verify it? Well, at a minimum, by searching reasonably available public records to confirm the info is actually accurate and complete. So keep this straight, review the old U5 within 60 days, verify the new U4 within 30 days.
Section 4. The Big Annual Review.
All right, we have finally made it to the final boss of Sam's year. Firms must conduct a review of their business at least annually, on a calendar year basis. This absolute beast of a review must be reasonably designed to detect and prevent violations of securities laws. It covers the activities of each and every office. It specifically includes a periodic examination of customer accounts, so Sam is definitely looking at Carla the customer's portfolio yet again. And this is so important. The firm must keep a written record of the exact date that each review and inspection took place. Because in the eyes of the regulators, if it isn't written down, it simply didn't happen.
Warning, sirens blaring. This is a massive, classic test-maker trap. Do not, under any circumstances, confuse the annual compliance review with the annual compliance meeting. Look at this side by side. The annual compliance review is a massive, broader business review of the entire firm's operations. The annual compliance meeting, however, is a totally separate requirement where every registered person, like Riley the rep, must participate at least annually in an interview or meeting to discuss compliance matters. The review is for the business entity as a whole. The meeting is where you literally force Riley into a stuffy conference room to make sure he still knows the rules. You have to keep them separate in your head.
Section 5. Rapid Fire Exam Recap. Okay, congratulations, you have survived a day in the life of Sam the Supervisor. Let's kick into high gear for the final sprint and lock in these heavily testable points. Recap number 1, office inspections. An Office of Supervisory Jurisdiction or a supervisory branch must be inspected at least once a year. But a non-supervisory branch, Sam only has to visit that one at least every 3 years. 1 year versus 3 years.
Recap number 2. When monitoring for insider trading, Sam isn't just looking at the firm's accounts or Riley's personal accounts. Covered accounts include spouses, financially dependent children, and anyone whose account the rep controls. Seriously, do not forget about Riley's basement-dwelling son.
Recap number 3. Hammering home those dual hiring deadlines one last time. Sam has 60 days to review an applicant's old Form U5 termination notice, but he only has 30 calendar days to verify the accuracy of the new Form U4 application using public records. 60 to look back, 30 to move forward.
And finally, our last slide. Business review versus rep meeting. One is a review of the entire firm's operations. The other is a mandatory sit-down interview with every registered rep. So here's my final question for you to chew on. If the regulators walked into your firm tomorrow, would you be the one to catch the basement son trading on inside info, or would you be the one getting handed a Form U5? If you can keep these rules, timelines, and traps straight, you aren't just going to pass this exam. You're going to protect your entire career. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and keep that momentum going.